This is a story about the unfortunate reporter who was cheated on by his unfaithful wife. Details. I am 42 years old. My wife is 35 years old. We don't have any children. The details of the guy she cheated with are unknown. Saturdays are usually workdays for me, but today I got injured at the construction site in the morning, so my boss, who is also my FEEL, took me to the hospital and told me go home and rest for the day. The scene I witnessed when I got home was my wife, wearing a naked apron I had never seen before, serving food to the other man. Did your FEEL see it too? Yeah. My FEEL is my boss at work. He apparently wanted me to take over the family business eventually. Poor FEEL. Our apartment is on the first floor, so the other man hurriedly escaped through the bedroom window. He left his car behind, so I removed the tires to make it difficult for him to take it away easily. My wife, perhaps out of embarrassment at being seen in a naked apron by her own parent, changed her clothes and also escaped through the window. I don't know where she is now. Wow, how inconsiderate. A naked apron, huh? They must have done it once already. Rummage through the trash and take pictures of the evidence. Honestly, we've been married for 15 years now, but I had no idea she owned such a frilly, youthful-looking apron. It was also my first time seeing her in a naked apron. What did your FEEL say? If he has a boss-like personality, he might disown his daughter and make you the successor instead. It's not a company. It's a family-run small business. My FEEL tried to lunge at them, shouting "You stupid daughter," but he was blocked by the table in the small apartment. And he completely forgot that he had been supporting me until then, so he shoved me aside, causing me to fall over, which created an opening for the man to escape. Check the vehicle registration to identify him. I can't open the car because I don't have the key. I could call a roadside assistance service to open it, but it's too much of a hassle to go that far. Did the two of them escape barefoot? The man's shoes are here. Size 10, apparently. However, my sandals and my wife's sandals were on the balcony, but both of them are gone now, so I think they escaped wearing sandals. After that, the reporter was bombarded with questions. Wow, there are a lot more people now. It's difficult to reply individually, so I'll just write the main points. I'm having trouble even going to the bathroom because I hurt my lower back, so I'll write a little at a time. My wife was changing clothes in the bedroom. In that bedroom, there was a bag containing the wallet, cell phone, and other items that my wife usually uses. And she took it with her when she ran away. So she has some cash on her. We don't keep bank books or credit cards in the apartment because it's not safe, so they're stored in the safe at my boss's office. And she can't take them out. I don't have the energy to search the house. My wife also ran away while my boss was here, so he got furious, removed the tires from the other man's car, loaded them onto his wagon, and went back to work. I called her cell phone several times, but it seems to be turned off. My boss came back from work in the evening, and while expressing concern for my well-being, he was angry, saying, "Is that stupid daughter of mine still on the run?" The parking lot I rent is arranged vertically to fit two cars, so my boss parked his car in front of the other man's car intending to leave quickly. That's probably why he couldn't escape by car. Now my car is blocking the way, so the other man's car can't be easily moved. Well, it's an old and beat-up car, so I guess it doesn't matter if he leaves it here and runs away. If the car is still there, can't you report to the police that an unknown man broke into your residence? If you ask the police to investigate, they can easily find out who the owner of the car is. That's a good idea. If my wife still hasn't returned tomorrow, I'll try that. About an hour after my boss went back to work, my MIL came to replace him. Well, she had only been told that I was injured and needed a little care, so she was saying things like, "Where did your wife go? Shopping?" Well, just was all I could say. I can't blame my MIL for trying to feed me the lunch that was supposed to be for the other man, saying, "Oh, I see the meal is already prepared." She doesn't know the situation. When I told her I had no appetite and was going to sleep, she went into the bedroom, saying, "I'll change the sheets for you." Looking at the messy bedding, likely where the other man had done it with my wife, she said, "Oh my, that girl is so sloppy." I wanted to say, "Excuse me, but it's your daughter's lower half that's sloppy," but I kept quiet since my MIL didn't know the situation at this point. My MIL was so carefree that I lost the energy to be angry, Or rather, I still don't feel much sense of reality even now. I feel like my wife might come back through the front door at any moment, laughing and saying, sorry, I'll make dinner now. For some reason, I'm waiting for my wife to come back now. That's understandable. It just happened today. Even I would want to ask her what's going on first. My lower back is bruised, so it's more comfortable to either lie down or sit. It's a bit of a struggle to get up when I lie down, so I've been sitting in a daze since I woke up in the evening. There were no belongings related to the other man. Everything was left in the bedroom, so I think the other man took his own clothes when he ran away. My wife was also changing clothes in the bedroom, so I guess she took the other man's remaining stuff with her during that time. I wish they had taken the used condom with them too. At least they used protection, I guess. There's significant evidence left behind. And you were able to find it. There was a suspiciously large tissue-wrapped piece of trash in the garbage can, and I had a hunch, so I opened it up and found a used item. Honestly, I wish I hadn't looked. It's not mentioned in the details, but is your wife a housewife? If she works part-time, there's a possibility it's related to that. She does office work for my boss, but since it's a family business, I don't think she receives a salary. I only saw the other man for a moment, but I somehow got the impression that he's single. He seemed younger than my wife. I just got a call from my boss saying, sorry, my wife has collapsed again and is currently in the emergency room. He's telling me not to come because it's an inconvenient time, but I'm worried, so I'm going to go. My own parents passed away one after another about 2 years after we got married, so even though they're my in-laws, my boss and his wife treat me as well as my own parents, so I want to do as much as I can for them. Take care. I hope your mother-in-law's condition is not serious. If there's any news, your wife might come to the hospital too. And then, the next morning, there's an update from the reporter. Good morning. I'll give a brief report. My buddy smashed the other man's car window and got the vehicle registration. However, the car is registered under my wife's name. I wonder if they've been seeing each other long enough for her to buy him a car. My wife's whereabouts are still unknown. I get no contact either. My mother-in-law's condition has stabilized. She's had heart problems for a while, so they're going to keep her hospitalized for the time being to be safe. My boss said he recognized the other man, so he went out to investigate his whereabouts. The car dealership and the place where the car passed inspection are acquaintances of my buddy, so he also went out to inquire there. I feel like I'm in a daze. It's my own business, but it feels like someone else's problem, like there's just a hole there. I'm grateful that the people around me are taking action, but I don't want her to come back anymore, and I don't know how to confront her. Whether your Phil sides with your wife or with you will greatly change the situation. You need to somehow figure out a way to get your Phil on your side. That's not the issue here. Your wife has run away. We can't talk about anything until she comes back. If your Phil finds her, he might push her away. The biggest concern this time is the unprecedented development of your Phil, who isn't even directly involved. The next morning, there's another update from the reporter. Good morning. I'll give a mid-report. My wife still hasn't returned. The other man's identity has been revealed. He's the same age as my wife, 35, and apparently almost unemployed. It's unknown where my wife met him. I went to the other man's residence, but no one was home. I found what looked like a debt collection notice in his mailbox and laughed. I'm still not sure about reconciliation. I've given up on my wife. It's impossible to demand anything from the other man. I have a commercial vehicle driver's license and a high-voltage electrician certification, so I can make a living anywhere. I feel bad for my boss, but once this matter is settled, I'm thinking of starting over on my own. Even with all this commotion, I'm quite busy today. I'm gradually accepting the reality of life without my wife. That's a quick conclusion. What did your boss say? Since he gave his daughter to you in marriage, I thought he considered you his successor. You're not planning to cut ties with your boss, right? Well, since I'm practically the one running the construction sites, I guess my boss doesn't want me to leave. It depends on my boss. He seems to feel quite guilty about this incident. So I think he won't be able to complain even if I say I'm going to become independent and start my own business. By the way, I have a question. What should I do if I can't get a divorce because my wife is missing? She has no car or money, so I don't think she can keep running for long and will eventually show up. Aren't you going to file a missing person report with the police? I'm not filing a missing person report because my boss told me not to. Besides, it probably won't be much help for a missing adult. I don't know how my wife will turn up, but even if she comes to her senses and returns, I don't have the energy to start over anymore. My boss and buddy are saying she'll probably come back when she runs out of money, but I don't think we can start over even if she does. I'm sorry for rambling on. We don't have kids, so maybe she was lonely, but she ran away without even saying sorry or please forgive me. So she's someone I can't understand anymore. It would leave a bad aftertaste to talk about suicide or lover's suicide, but other than that, I don't care what happens to her anymore. My wife isn't the type to commit suicide. She's more of a dreamer type, so I feel like she's probably wallowing in being a tragic heroine right now. But when faced with reality, she displays a strange strength, so I don't think she'll die or anything. Even if your boss is against it, you might want to file a missing person report. Not that it will actually make her come back. But it might be necessary to show the attitude of "I searched for her, but..." During the divorce. Filing a missing person report equals making an effort with the intention to find her, but she doesn't show up and won't talk. To add persuasiveness to malicious abandonment, it might be good to file a missing person report as a protective measure. You should consult a lawyer. Filing a missing person report is better than not doing it, but if it becomes known that the police are involved, it might make it difficult for your boss to do business. A bad reputation can be the biggest blow. As the discussion heats up, there's another update from the reporter late the next night. Good evening. This is the final report. My wife has been found. In the afternoon, there was a report from a love hotel. The other man ran away while my wife was sleeping, and he couldn't pay, so he told them to make me pay instead. A total of $700 in expenses, including various things. My wife apologized with all her might, but my boss got super angry and disowned her, ordering her not to enter her parents' house or come home. I calmed my boss down for the sake of discussion and took my wife home. My wife was distraught at being abandoned by the other man, and we couldn't talk much, but she agreed to the divorce for now. My wife says she's going to stay at her friend's place starting tomorrow for a while. I had various mixed feelings, but I'm also kind of scoffed that my wife got dumped by the other man. I feel sorry for her, and I think she's a foolish woman, but I have no more love for her. Once the current construction project is finished, an acquaintance in another state told me, if that's the case, come to my place, and the current project will be finished next week, so I plan to quietly leave after that. I feel bad for my boss, but I'm going to start a new life in a new place. I'm making this last post as a way to draw a line. I'm truly grateful for all the advice I received here. I'm sorry I was too cowardly to properly follow the advice. But just having someone here, listening to my story, was a real source of support for me. Thank you. All I can say is well done. She has no sense of shame, huh? I guess realizing that much is a takeaway from this incident. May happiness come your way in your new location. May your ex-wife and the other man face your boss's fists striking with fury. Anyway, well done. About 2 weeks later, there's an aftermath report from the reporter. I'll give an aftermath report. Since many people on this thread said, you should properly tell your boss if you're quitting, I consulted with him and quit. I received consolation money that included alimony. My boss says he's probably going to close down the business now. My wife caused a big commotion at her friend's house and was kicked out for being a nuisance, so now she's back at her parents' place. I talked with the other man's parents. They said it would be troublesome if it became a big deal since he's a teacher at a local prep school, so they gave me something like hush money. They were the kind of parents that make you think, like father, like son. My ex-wife said she met the other man at a gambling hall. How much was the hush money? Is it different from alimony? What happened to his car? The amount I received from the other man's parents is about the average amount for a divorce settlement. I got angry, saying, put in a sincere apology instead of money. Well, since he's a teacher, I guess they didn't want it to become a big fuss. But my buddy has already told others, so I don't know how the wives will talk about it. There are parents in my age who have sons attending that school. I had my wife scrap the car. It was an eyesore. Tell us more about your wife's rampage. Apparently, she lightly went on a rampage at her friend's house while holding a kitchen knife. She drunkenly said things like she'd apologize with her death. The husband there stopped her and nothing happened, but he said it's a nuisance since they have kids, so he contacted her parents to take her back. After returning home, she repeatedly lashed out in anger, but since my mill is still hospitalized, she started doing things like taking care of her. And she seems to have calmed down quite a bit, or rather, finally started seriously reflecting. On Saturday, they explored the possibility of reconciliation, but I refused. If you reconcile too easily here, it might be seen as a badger game. You received a considerable amount of money, right? You need to make your wife understand that, or else something terrible might happen. The next time your wife starts bawling, record it on your phone. Gleefully tell her you'll show it to your friend at your new place. She'll stop crying. I had already made up my mind that there will be no reconciliation no matter how much she cries or what she does. But I can't become that much of a demon to record her. Even if she's a rotten dumpster, she's still a woman I once loved. In that sense, I have a part of me that greatly hesitates. It might be iffy to waver at this point, and I might regret it if I act on impulse. I didn't think I had any regrets though. But I won't go easy on a cheating wife. Or the other man, of course. The one path I absolutely must crush is my ex-wife reconciling with the other man. My boss taking them back. I don't think the other man has the guts to do physical labor, though. I'm drunk, so I'm going to sleep now. Good night. Sorry for rambling on about weird complaints. About 2 more weeks later, this incident, which was thought to have ended, takes a new turn. Sorry for showing up so often. I'm not sure what to do, so I'd like to ask for advice if that's okay. The issue. My ex-wife has been coming to my place every day since I moved. It's a nuisance, but should I consult the police about this as stalking? I've already reported it to my former boss, and he says he's telling her not to leave the house. But she finds an opening in the evening and goes out. It seems my former boss still wants me to come back, so he's letting my ex-wife do as she pleases. I'm more comfortable working under my current boss. The treatment and everything else is better with my current boss. Should I go over there and have a direct talk with them? If it's a nuisance to you, then yeah, go to the police. I guess it's the police after all. But I don't think the police will take much action in this kind of situation, you know? If she has the courage to come to your place in a naked apron, tell her you'll remarry. That's a good idea. But honestly, my ex-wife's naked apron has the destructive power of a mental jump scare. Don't let your wife into the house. If she fabricates a DD claim, you'll be in trouble. Change the front door lock if you can. On the day I moved, she came before me and told the landlord next door, I'm his wife, but my husband has the key, so the landlord let her in. And she got a taste for it, so she's been having the landlord open the door for her every so often. There were signs of intrusion, so I've already notified the landlord not to open the door anymore. The landlord also feels responsible and told me, there's a vacant apartment in a separate building, so why don't you move there? So I'm thinking of taking advantage of his kindness. I guess your wife is in trouble now that her ATM is gone. That, and also the fact that my former boss quit his job. Rather than love, it's kind of oozing with the feeling of doing it for her livelihood. She probably regrets her sin. But it's like she thinks she'll be forgiven if her husband comes back. It seems my former boss is in a tough situation too. Apparently, he hasn't received a single job offer this month because I'm not there. I guess the rumors spread quickly since it's a small area. I guess your wife isn't even considering working herself. No wonder she's clinging to you. That can't be helped. She was doing office work at my former boss's house and continued doing that even after marrying me. She's never worked elsewhere. She's well versed in construction office work, so she could probably find a job if she wanted to, but honestly, it would be impossible in that area. She's been labeled as a cheating wife. I consulted here and tried to organize my thoughts. For now, I'll go over there and clearly tell my former boss and ex-wife, there will be no reconciliation. Stop bothering me. If this continues, I'll report it to the police as stalking. As a countermeasure, I'll move to the landlord's separate apartment building. If she still comes after that, I'll firmly consult the police. I'm going to my ex-wife's parents' place now. and a week later, there's a result report from the reporter. Good evening. Sorry for the late report. Last week, I went to my ex-wife's parents' place and told them there will be absolutely no reconciliation. If she comes to my house again without a reason, I'll consult the police. I haven't forgotten the debt I owe my former boss for taking care of me. But I can't return to a house where I was cheated on. My ex-wife was crestfallen, but my former boss got quite angry at me. He said things like, "After I took care of you so much, you're throwing me away?" It's definitely impossible to reconcile with my former boss too. On the weekend, my former boss called to apologize, saying, "I'm sorry I got carried away and lashed out at that time. But I'm currently working at a factory site and am busy on weekends, so I quickly hung up." But my ex-wife hasn't come since then. I can finally live in peace and quiet. I'm glad I consulted here. Thank you, everyone. As the situation is finally resolved, thread members sincerely congratulate the reporter. Well done. May you grasp a new happiness. Well done. Well, once things fell through with your wife, there was no way to reconcile with your former boss other than getting back together with your wife, so don't worry about it. I hope you can live peacefully and happily soon. Next time you come, tell us some good news. Thank you for the report. I see, so your former boss was also a nuisance in the end. He might have wanted to somehow mend things. But it was a case of father, take a good rest, recharge, and do your best in your daily life. About 8 months later, the reporter surprisingly provides a follow-up story. Good morning. Long time no see. I wonder if anyone remembers me. I had some drinks with my buddies during the holidays and heard a follow-up story, so I'm posting it. It seems my ex-wife and the other man got married and are working at my former boss's place. Their reputation has plummeted because they hired useless idiots. They keep being told, "Don't come anymore," in the middle of construction projects, and they said they have no job prospects after New Year's. The prevailing rumor around them is that rather than hitting rock bottom, they've taken in a jinx. My ex-wife also started working at a gambling hall because she couldn't make a living. And they said they saw her drinking with some of the regulars there a few times. As for me, I have absolutely no intention of going back there, and I think it serves the other man right to be in my former position. I can't believe she was such a loose woman with her lower half. Thank you for your report. What's your current situation? I'm still living a carefree single life. I have no romantic prospects either. My current boss's wife keeps urging me to remarry, saying there's a divorced single mother, but I'm running away, saying I'm tired of women. At work sites, I'm suspected of being gay because I get along too well with my boss, but I'm more comfortable that way. I thought they would have gone bankrupt by the time you left. The ex-boss's situation is miserable. I wonder how many years the company will last. I guess the other man wasn't even worth punishing. He's in debt, so he's finished for real. In summary, the reporter succeeded in escaping, and the nuisance parent and child took in the other man as a time bomb. Thanks to your ex-wife. It's good that he noticed early on that the Phil was also a hidden nuisance,